Okay, folks, we have the 1 minute warning. Okay, here we go. All set? Dwayne, settle down over there. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order at 5 p.m. on May 8th, 2024 in the council chambers of the Municipal Administration Center. Councillor Kavanaugh, please.
Thank you very much. It is only fitting that we begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewa of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewa of Saugeen First Nation, whose ancestors were the first to inhabit, care for, and live on this land. We recognize and deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous peoples have made both in caring for these lands and in strengthening and shaping this community. As a public service organization, we are dedicated to learning and acknowledging Indigenous history and culture and are committed to actions that move us on a journey of truth, healing, and reconciliation. Thank you.
Roll call this evening. Deputy Mayor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell. Councillor Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Present.
Councillor Kennedy.
Present.
Councillor Prenger.
Present.
Councillor Steinhoff Gray. Councillor Stewart.
Present.
I'd also like to acknowledge our staff members and members of the public that are here in the gallery this evening. Welcome. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the proposed agenda this evening? Disclosure of pecuniary interest now or as it arises during the meeting, please, and the nature thereof. And we need a mover and seconder that the minutes of the council meeting is held on April 24, 2024 be adopted as printed. Councillors Kennedy and Hinchberger, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Delegations and presentations. So I would like to welcome our delegation tonight, Pam Hillier from 211. Welcome, Ms. Hillier. I am glad you have made the journey to the municipality of Kincardine this evening.
Thank you. It's very happy to be here in this beautiful land. It was lovely to see the farmers out when I drove here today. So many more. So it's great. So today I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes just updating you on 211 and what we do. I'm the Executive Director of Community Connection, which is an organization in Collingwood. And I'm going to start with a video. Hopefully everything will work. A video clip was put together with our Simcoe County Emergency Partners, so part of a campaign to raise awareness of 211. It was really well received. So really what 211 is a 3-digit dialing code. There's a whole list of them here on the screen that are available to really help the public access essential services. The reason the CRTC ruling is important is because it then requires the phone companies to make the dialing work into our offices. 211, you can call, text, email, search, or chat, and we have interpretation on demand in over 150 languages. The network in Ontario is funded by MCCSS, and there are 5 contact centers that share the work of the calls that flow across our technology systems. So our office in Collingwood serves what's called the Central East region, which covers this county. United Way Canada licenses organizations to provide 211 services, and that enables the standards and the quality and no overlap of service. Our organization in Collingwood is a registered charity. We've been around for many decades. We've always had a telephone helpline. We have just over 30 staff. We have a budget just under $2 million. 25% is related to 211 service delivery. And the funding for our service here in Bruce County comes proportionately through MCCSS, the United Way of Bruce Grey, and Bruce County. Other services we do besides 211 is a couple of specialized directories we've worked with the municipalities on, newcomers, and a volunteer website. We also do e-referrals with family health teams in Kincardine and in South Bruce Peninsula. We also have partnerships with the counties to answer the Bruce Grey Housing Helpline after hours, and it's the intake or entry into the short-term shelter program. And just this year, we launched a new navigation helpline for the Ontario Health Team in Bruce Grey. So that's just got off the ground. We do lots of partnerships. Here's one we launched a few years ago in 2019 now, but where there's multiple partners providing really essential services. And our goal is just to learn from our partners to get the callers or the people that need the services to the right place at the right time. In 2023, Bruce County, we had just over 1,000 phone calls, so very low volume. But Kincardine had 55% of those. And the top 2 needs were housing and utility assistance. And public inquiry support during emergencies is another role we play, where we have the capability to support in different ways. And ultimately is using 211 to answer public inquiry instead of municipal staff or 911, and keeping those calls away and freed up from people to do the work they need to do. In 2015, we established an agreement with Kincardine for emergency response. We've had a number of examples where we've done different things. Every time we get involved to support a municipality, we learn something new. And just to touch on the examples, the largest was the Goderich tornado, where we answered calls, we answered emails, we also registered people to volunteer, we registered people making donations, and we made outbound calls to get volunteers to go to certain places that were needed. One of the unique ones we did the most recent one was with the pandemic and supporting the vaccine, the setup of a vaccine information and booking line for the public health unit. The problem was back then, we didn't know when vaccines were coming, how many were coming, how many clinics they were going to need. So it was really difficult to hire staff. So I'm a Rotarian. We recruited Rotarians from Rotary clubs right across Bruce and Grey, 20 of them actually. And they worked at home on their own computers using our telephone technology. And in 5 months, they answered almost 12,000 calls. It was amazing work. We never would have done that pre-pandemic, but a good way to use phone technology with volunteers supporting our community. And another short one is, it was a short event, was when the town of Meaford lost their water, 9 a.m. on a Monday, and they immediately asked us to take their calls, put that out on the media, and we just used the municipal website to provide the service to the public. And I'll leave you with this, is helping to increase awareness of 211 in your community. And I have some suggestions about putting some information and links on your website, including 211 in your social media marketing. We have lots of things we could send you to use, providing training to all your staff across the region, and distributing some materials. And I brought a bag to leave with you tonight. So I hope that was new information and helpful, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. Are there any questions or comments from council? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Ms. Hillier, and nothing personal, but I hope nobody ever has to use your service again. Like, seriously, because you do a lot of help for a lot of people. All right, we need a mover and seconder. The council moved into closed session pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended for the purpose of considering the closed session minutes dated April 24, 2024, A position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality, particularly MTO and the Russell Street agreements. And advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, specifically Kincardine Ave servicing agreement, and further that council return to regular open meeting upon completion. So before I ask for move and seconder, I do expect this will pass. And honestly, I do apologize to the public. We don't normally do it this fashion, but we normally wait till the end of the meeting for closed. But there is some business that will arise in the open session following that will be determined and affected by the conversation we have in closed. So we will try to keep it short, but it is a necessary procedural thing for our council meeting tonight. Mover and seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Stewart and Kavanaugh. Any discussion? All in favor? So we will, that's carried. So we will adjourn to the Gord Gerald boardroom upstairs. appreciation for the patience shown by our public gallery now that we're back, and we'll get back into open session again. So I'd like to report that a closed meeting was held for the purpose of the Ministry of Transportation, Russell Street Agreement, and the Kincardine Avenue Service Agreement. And out of that meeting, we do have a recommendation. We need a mover and seconder that council direct staff to proceed with the signing of the contract for the Kincardine Avenue servicing extension that is awarded to Omega Contractors for the tentative amount of $1,723,500.72. Moved by councillors Stewart and Hinchberger. Any discussion? All in favor? Yes. That's carried. The Resser Mutual Drain Agreement. We need a mover and seconder that council approve the mutual agreement drain as provided. Moved by councillors Stewart and Kavanaugh. Is there any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Community Improvement Plan. We need a mover and seconder that the 2024 priority areas for the Community Improvement Plan funding focus on business supports for downtown Kincardine and downtown Tiverton, as well as a newly created program to support investment attraction in the municipality. And further, the council directs staff to work with Bruce County Economic Development staff to assist with the implementation and administration of the Community Improvement Program. And the council adopted Tiverton facade improvement guidelines as part of the Spruce the Bruce community onboarding process. And further, that staff prepares a report for council at the end of each calendar year to evaluate the impacts of the Community Improvement Program and recommend future priority areas and potential grant categories. Moved by councillors Kavanaugh and Kennedy. And I would refer to our Manager of Strategic Initiatives, Lori Fiozzi. Ms. Fiozzi, please.
Through you, Mayor Craig. So as you know, council adopted a new community improvement plan for the municipality of Kincardine. The 2024 budget included the $60,000 to implement the CIP program. Sherry's here to provide a bit of an overview of the recommended priority areas for 2024 to council. And before I say that, we also in the council report, we have the downtown Tiverton guidelines, the facade improvement guidelines, as downtown Tiverton was added to the CIP area, and this helps to facilitate the eligibility for Tiverton businesses for the Spruce the Bruce community onboarding process. And Sean Kelly is online to help explain it, just to give a really quick overview of that to council and answer any questions about that. And we also have Jeff Loney here as well from the county, who's here in case you have any questions, because he's been instrumental on helping us develop our community improvement plan. So I'm just going to turn it over to Sherry, if I may, Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. So as Lori mentioned, our new community improvement plan was approved back in February. As part of our CIP, staff are to come forward each year with recommendations on priority areas. So in the 2024 budget, council had allocated $60,000 towards the implementation of this plan. We kind of reviewed based on, local needs and where we think that the funding could have the most impact for this year, considering it is a new program and it does require a lot of staff time to kind of create these programs, administer them. We are suggesting that this year we focus on the downtown Kincardine and downtown Tiverton. Since downtown Kincardine was obviously under construction last year, there's some need there to do some additional supports for the businesses. And with Tiverton being recently added, we think that there's value in offering the program there as well. So our proposal is that we'd work with the Bruce County staff to administer the funding through their already well-established Spruce the Bruce program to offer facades, signage, patio, and accessibility improvement grants. We're also working with them on looking at starting a investment attraction piece as a second piece to this, but this would be another full program that we would have to create and administer on our own should we go that route.
Through you, Mayor, if council doesn't have any questions of Sherry,
Oh, no, we do. I just wondered
Okay.
if, I didn't want to leave, staff dangling out on the end of a branch in case you had more to offer, but, are you, able to take some questions at this point from, council?
Yeah, sure.
Questions, Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you through you, Mayor. Thank you very much for this. A couple questions. The part related to downtown Kincardine and Tiverton, if people apply, does it get processed on a first come, first served basis? That's my first question.
Yes, usually Spruce the Bruce does a first come, first served basis.
Okay, and then if I could, the second one quickly, which would be the part about something, as long as we do it in a controlled manner, in attracting new business and new investment, do we have a kind of sort of a crude timeline on what we might expect to have something developed in collaboration with the county that we could act on?
That's a good question. We have done some initial brainstorming around this piece, but I don't want to commit to any timeline just because there's a lot of big projects underway right now. And so it's just a matter of being able to put the time in to focus on rolling that out. A lot of, we have the creating the program, figuring out the administration of the program. We also have the marketing and the promotions of the program as well to build awareness. There's quite a few pieces to developing these.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, I'd like to thank Lori and her staff, Sherry and Jeff. I was part of the Tiverton one. It was a brand new one. Guys did a great job. The government turned around this. I'm hoping that you come back in September needing another $60,000, and that's coming from Bill Stewart. And that's surprising, but this is a great program. I hope the people in Tiverton really get behind it. I hope I don't even recognize that town in another 12 months, but congratulations, you got my support. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just a question to yourself. Yes, I know it's early in the process, and you haven't thought through it in its fulsome nature yet. What sort of areas of business attraction would you start to look at? Is it, this is money that's being potentially offered to businesses? Is that for, applications of some sort or other? Is it is there a wide range of opportunities that council will be asked to look at, or would you imagine it's a pretty specific sort of range of criteria? I know that's a really unfair question, but I don't care. I just thought I would throw that one at you.
Yeah, thanks.
Ask Mr. Loney back there. I'm sure he's
Yeah, thanks. We talked about, I don't really have an answer. We're looking at two options of keeping it really wide open as it is as an initial program to see what comes in. We can then kind of evaluate based on all of the submissions where there's interest, or that's maybe a bit harder to administer. It might be easier to have a focus. I'm not going to answer that question until we bring a report back on that.
that was a good answer. That was a very good answer, actually. So, okay. Any other comments from staff or? Are there any questions for our consultants from Plural regarding anything? If not, we have a motion on the floor that we direct staff to get out our community improvement program. All in favor? And that's carried. So thank you to the team, to Bruce County for their cooperation, and we look forward to the positive outcomes that will come from that. Okay, moving on to 8.1, notice of motion. We have a motion moved by Andrea Clark and seconded by Mike Hinchberger, whereas section 32.3 Delta of the Municipality of Kincardine Procedure Bylaw number 2023-A138 states that a council member will be appointed to the statutory committee as chairperson and will be a non-voting member. And that an amendment to section 32.3 Delta of the Procedure Bylaw be repealed and replaced with a council member will be appointed to the statutory committee as a voting member. Now, therefore, be it resolved that section 32.3 of the Procedure Bylaw be amended to include The chair will be elected annually by the statutory committee, and the chair will be a voting member of the committee. So the intent is that, actually, I'm going to allow our mover to talk about that. Deputy Mayor, please. You know better than I, so.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I currently sit on the Accessibility Committee, and this has come out really through sitting on that committee. The intention of the motion, which may not be that clear, is that the council member is not necessarily the chair. And the chair remains with the ability to vote. This was a discussion at our last accessibility meeting, and much of the discussion really relates to the fact that accessibility perhaps is a distinguishable and distinct committee in so much as many of the members that sit on that committee have lived experience. And I think it's both empowering and important that those with lived experience have a very strong voice on the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And where appropriate, that they are able to fill the role of chair. I don't think it's required that it need be the council member that sit on that committee. So that's effectively the foundation of where that motion came from. And I think it is distinguishable from different committees. So I know that when discussed, the Accessibility Committee took the position that they would prefer to be able to vote for the chair, and it need not be the council member.
So if I may, Mike, please, microphone, please. I'd like to direct a question to Councillor Hinchberger, because you are another councillor who is a chair of a particular committee that I appreciate your comments, Deputy Mayor, regarding the unique nature of the Accessibility Advisory Committee, but I'm wondering if that is a carryover to other committees as well, and could you respond? You seconded the motion, you don't disagree with it. Can you, well, Can you support that? But I'm just wondering your experience, whether you would find some advantages or disadvantages to supporting this motion.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I would say in my very short time with Heritage Kincardine, I would say it's another committee that has longstanding participation in the community and people who are very passionate about it and have experience that goes well beyond mine. So I can appreciate that. I have been made aware of and given some thought to the other aspect of this is if you could distinguish between the role of the council member as being the spokesperson for the committee publicly and essentially allow longstanding committee members or somebody to essentially have the vice chair position, which would run the day-to-day minutia of the committee, is something I didn't really kind of fully grasp until maybe 3 or 4 days ago. But I think there's a two-part, and I think it's possible that there could be a compromise solution that would work both in having the elected officials be the outward face and the spokesperson for it, because many of these are either advisory or statutory committees, and yet have the committee itself have the full sort of ownership within its terms of reference of deciding where it would like to go.
And once again, the procedural bylaw is a living document, like it flexes and moves. So going to afford our CAO opportunity. There's a reason that our clerk brought forward this recommendation. You know, it's logical in many ways. So I wonder if you could, CAO, present, further discussion on this.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Through you to council, I would offer that in the governance review, committee structures was a big component of what it was that was under review, and to help ensure that there was alignment between council's priorities and what it was that committees were being struck to do. So that was a big part of that entire review. The rationale associated with having a council member serve on the statutory committees or other committees as the chair was to help provide that connection back to council. That still can exist if the procedure bylaw is to be changed. However, I do think it would be important to be clear as to who would be the spokesperson. I think it serves us well when it's a council member who is the spokesperson on behalf of the committee. For instance, as the chair of the ad hoc committee, Councillor Kavanaugh was a spokesperson and actually was invited to speak to media and on other occasions regarding the outcome of that specific committee's work. And I think that it helped that he was the council member, but also the chair for the committee. So perhaps it's something perhaps if you are interested in considering that, there could be additional direction related to confirming that the individual who would ever be invited to speak on behalf of the committee be the council representative. It could be in the terms of reference. It can be included in a motion if the council members were interested, or we could leave it as it is.
Deputy Mayor, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think it's really just responding to Councillor Hinchberger's. I have no difficulty with distinguishing and differentiating with the forward-facing or spokesperson, and I think that can be incorporated in terms of reference if we're looking at reviewing the roles. But I don't think it takes away from having it leaves it open that the council member could be the chair, but it's not mandated, and I think that's really the thrust of my motion.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, I agree with you with statutory committees. Absolutely. The ad hoc committees are committees that we actually form ourselves. And I think, this is where I think our CAO was talking too. I think it's important that we distinguish between the two of them. The ad hoc committees are only really sort of formed for a quick moment. I think it's important that the council member is also the chairman of that committee for those purposes. The other ones, statutory, I'm fine with this amendment, but for the ad hoc, I think it's important council becomes chair. Bye.
Councillor Hinchberger?
Thank you through your mayor. Toward Councillor Stewart's point, a literal read of the resolution makes it specific to statutory committees.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried. Okay, we have some consideration of bylaws. The road dedication, Upper Lorne Beach Road Amendment bylaw. We need a mover and seconder that the road dedication, Upper Lorne Beach Road Amendment be deemed to be read first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2024-070. Councillor Stewart and Hinchberger, Director. Could you just comment the intent of this road dedication amendment?
Thanks through you, Mayor Craig. The intent of this is that it will allow us to maintain an open gate for the month of March. The previous bylaw did not enable that, or sorry, rather, had us closing it at the end of February. Did have staff provisions where we could open it, but this takes that discretion out of it.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Tree canopy and natural vegetation policy bylaw. We need a mover and seconder that the tree canopy and natural vegetation policy bylaw to be deemed to be read first, second, third time, finally passed, numbered as bylaw number 2024-071, moved by Deputy Mayor Clark and Councillor Kennedy. Any discussion? Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you through your mayor. Actually, I'll just briefly speak about both the policy and the bylaw that's the next agenda item. I'm just going to refer to a few of the implementation.
If you can you just stick to the one and we'll get to the
We'll
other
do
one?
that.
Thank you very much.
If
As
that
best
is
you can. I
okay.
know there'll be some overlap, but as best you can.
As best I can. So for the tree canopy, just some of the implementation considerations will be measuring the tree canopy so that we can assist in determining the effectiveness of the approaches that we're going to take. Related to the policy as well, some of them are the use of internal processes by staff to identify trees that have been lost for the purposes of planning in subsequent budgeting years for tree replacement and semi-annual, regular reporting on behalf of staff on progress. That's what I'll just say for the, and just generally, we're breaking new ground here, or planting new trees, preserving new trees, branching out, whatever you want, all the puns you can do. Nothing you can do for the first time is ever going to go out without a little bit of fear, a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of adjustment. And I look forward to learning as we go and making this policy. And it goes, we focus a lot on trees, but there's a lot to be said here about natural vegetation and components of it related to dealing with invasive species as well. So, I mean, if you're going to be a leader, like we're essentially kind of doing in here, it's going to feel a little lonely at times.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mike's number is 416. Like Mike was saying, or my fellow counselor was saying, you know, it's the first time. We have to sort of walk through it. Staff has to understand it. Public has to understand it. I'd just like to thank the committee. It took a long time, but they did a good job. So thanks, Mike and his committee members. Be patient. We're not going to be perfect, but as we move forward, we can, as the mayor has said before, we always can change things required. So, you know, we'll get through the first year and then we'll look at it again the second year. So, but and I can support this 100%. Thank you.
Further comment? All in favor? And that's carried. We need a mover and seconder that the native trees on private property bylaw be deemed to be read first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw number 2024-072. Moved by councillors Hinchberger and Kavanaugh. Comment? Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, Part B. Specifically to the bylaw, the recommended implementation date is the 1st of September. And the major reason for doing that was to allow staff, primarily infrastructure and development, time to develop educational materials and internal processes. And as far as educational materials have gone, I've had the need for that demonstrated to me most recently as an hour and a half ago. And why it is actually necessary for us to do this. I have to remember sometimes that I've been immersed in this along with Councillor Pranger and Councillor Blackwell for almost a year now, and I almost could repeat the bylaw in my sleep and realize that this is not the same state that everybody else is, and we need some time to develop getting out of legal speak into something that the citizen can use readily and easily. Thanks.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, once again, the group did a very good job. And just to announce to the public that we hired somebody new who's an arborist. So as you can see, we're putting a little bit of money where our thought is and to help us sort of understand this whole tree canopy. So congratulations to the staff member. And I won't mention any name, but it'll bring strength to us. Thank you.
Further comment? All in favor? That's carried. Appointment by law enforcement, Municipal Support Services, Inc. We need a mover and seconder that the appointment by law enforcement, Municipal Support Services, Inc. 2024 bylaw be deemed to be read first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2024-073. Moved by councillors Hinchberger and Kavanaugh. Discussion. All in favor? That's carried. And we need a mover and seconder that the following bylaws are hereby read first, second, third time, finally passed this 8th of May, 2024. The Resser Drain Agreement and the Tiverton Design Guideline bylaw, moved by councillors Kennedy and Deputy Mayor Clark. All in favor? That's carried. Consent agenda items are listed as routine and are enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is if a councillor chooses to withdraw one or more for consideration, either this evening or request a more substantial report. So we need a mover and seconder that council approve the recommendations contained in the consent agenda dated May 8, 2024, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Moved by councillors Deputy Mayor Clark and Pranger. Discussion. Any items that you would like to? I saw you scratch your head. Any items that council would like to withdraw for comment or consideration? Deputy Mayor, please.
91CB, the Smart Board Minutes, February 16th, 2024. For discussion now, really.
Yes.
I really wanted to comment because Accessibility Advisory Committee had Smart Board in to elaborate a bit about the expansion or potential expansion. I mean, many of us will remember during budget time, the contemplation which came to council concerning the expansion of Smart potentially and the funding that options that were available. And very kindly, they did come to the Accessibility Committee and they made comment on that. Their board minutes include some of that. Actually, the accessibility minutes are quite good in terms of a summary. And I think one of the things that moving forward for the next budget period we'll have to consider is whether or not it's feasible for there to be an expansion of SMART, increasing the ridership. There was talk about, and it's in the Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes, grant funding potentially available to some extent to assist. Perhaps not something that we will be looking at in the immediate future, but I think it's something that we need to bear in mind, particularly coming towards the autumn when we're looking more closely at the budget for the following year. My comments.
Any other comments? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, I understand with that extension, we took a look at that. And one of the things that was really holding us back was that we all of a sudden had to fund the vehicle. So I'm looking forward to talking to them again, but that was really something that we didn't think was fair to us, because all of a sudden we'd be affording a vehicle for 150,000 or whatever the figure was. So I'm waiting to hear what they're coming, and they'll be back to us in the fall.
No, no, I don't think they will be back unless we invite them. But I think there was some options available, and certainly the price that was quoted for the vehicle seemed to be at the high end. But I do think that there are, if we look at whether or not it's a priority for the expansion, there are perhaps some options that we can look at, and one of them did include some rural funding. So I think first and foremost, when we're looking towards the budget, is whether or not expanding SMART, increasing ridership, and personally, it's something that I support, how we can look at doing that.
If I may, I'd like to highlight 9 Delta F and G, whatever the F. What's F? Foxtrot and Garfield. Okay. 2 young ladies that wrote to the mayor and council regarding their perceived needs, one being trees, but the other, more importantly, well, not more importantly, but tonight, transportation. So 2 things, a shout out to these 2 young ladies that are interested in municipal government, and their acknowledgement that transportation is a challenge, not just in this community, but in many communities. Anything further for conversation? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Member of Council, general announcements. Deputy Mayor, please.
The upcoming week is the multicultural event on Tuesday, the 14th. I believe it's commencing at 5:30. Always a good evening out, and I hope to see you there.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. I also had the Multicultural Fest on my list because not only is it great food, but an excellent chance to meet your fellow community members and get immersed in a wonderful set of cultures coming together. But we also have Rock with Your Docs coming up on Friday, June 21st at the Davidson Center. Our newest doctor to move to the area has joined the band and will be out there playing as well. So if you want to see the best that Kincardin's doctors have to offer, get your tickets and come on out. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, just the COVA Outdoor Volleyball League had their registration, I think 10 days ago. It was completely sold out in one day with a waiting list, added a night. So anybody that thinks we didn't need 4 courts, we could probably fill 6 right now, every night, all summer. So that's just a little tidbit for our community service lady. Get everybody excited.
Counselor Stewart, let's just move on.
Yeah, thank you. The Tiverton Lions is putting on their annual garage sale. It's happening on Friday night, barbecue between 5 and 6, and the sale starts at 6 to 9, and then on Saturday once again. So make sure you bring your dollars out and support a good cause. Thank you.
Counselor Pranger?
I'll save mine and not steal Counselor Stewart's thunder.
Counselor Inchberger?
I have nothing further tonight, Your Honor.
Just one addition, the Hike for Hospice is at the Davidson Center this Saturday, May 11th, starts at 10 o'clock. And our here in Shores Hospice is located at the Tiverton Park Manor in Tiverton. CAO, please.
I do have an announcement. It's Emergency Preparedness Week. So this year's theme is planned for every season, and a big part of that is having your 72-hour preparedness kit ready in every season, and knowing what that means and how to put that together. There is an opportunity for emergency management, for you to visit with emergency management and the Red Cross at the Kincardine Library from 10:30 till around noon this coming Friday, to help you learn about risks to your community, the types of disasters and emergencies that can affect you, assembling an emergency kit, and developing an emergency communications plan, as well as your own evacuation plan.
Counselor Stewart?
Yes, and I apologize through your chair. I think we need to, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this, but I would like our Director of Community Services, if at all, allowed a little bit of permission to talk about a situation that happened in Regent Park. Is that possible?
At the indulgence of council. So all in favor of allowing our Community Services Director to make a public service announcement? All in favor? That's carried. Director, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And through you, I'm happy to speak about an incident that happened at Regan Park. Friday, I believe it came to fruition. Staff were alerted that there were some hazard trees in Regan Park, 4 in total, I believe it was, and had received a number of complaints for a couple of months in regards to significant sized tree branches which were falling in people's backyards. And so certainly wanting to activate and have those removed. They were removed. Unfortunately, we as staff didn't have depth to do that on our own, and so it was contracted out. The trees were removed, and unfortunately, some of them were felled on top of some saplings that had been planted about 2 years ago. And so we quickly, as departments, gathered and debriefed, as we do sometimes when situations like this occur, to mitigate it and definitely get some communications out with those that were impacted. And moving forward, we have a good plan in place to work with the Kincardine Naturalization Group to replant double the trees. We've got oak trees that are going up, some really good size ones, and some additional saplings, and staff will be assisting with the plantings of those.
Thanks, Director. All right, we need a mover and seconder that the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine of May 8, 2024 be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw number 2024-076. Councillors Hinchberger and Deputy Mayor Clark, all in favor? That's carried. Adjournment at 6:30, moved by Councillor Pranger again. You there, you got your hand up one more time. I see it. And Councillor Stewart, all in favor? That's carried.
Well done.